Morning, guys. Lexiot's Raptor Freak here for another live show after the Raptors lost to the Dallas Mavericks last night in a game that was super physical. And you know what, guys? I have two main culprits that I blame for the loss last night. And yes, the refs were a factor last night. I'm going to get into more of how and why the refs were a factor and really how we've got to maybe battle this in this season. Because when we play a certain style of defense, the way we've been playing, the referees are going to try and stop us from being so aggressive on defense by calling a lot of fouls. And they can do it in a way that's unfair, where, they're giving touch fouls to us in situations where it's off the ball. It's not even near the ball. There was a level of physicality all around in the game last night that they allowed Dallas to play with, but they didn't allow us to play with. Now, we can't control that. So there's things we can do to get around this. Like if the refs decide they want to put all of our key guys in foul trouble, they could do this to us every game. So we need to be ready to combat this. Putting the fouls on Scotty, OG, and Fred so early. All right, this was a problem. But the main reason why we lost last night is Nick Nurse's fault. And the reason why is this. Nick didn't do what he said he was going to do after the game in Boston. He said in the press conference after the game that he was going to go deep into the bench and he was going to have a lot of rotation. Well, his rotation last night sucked. He relied way too heavy on our starters, and he didn't give our bench even a chance. Like, why can't Delano Banton play in the first half? That's what I'm wondering right now. Why can't Delano Banton come in the first half? And what the hell happened with Chris Boucher last night? Chris Boucher only had 8 minutes. Yes, he was 0 for 5. And Nick Nurse said in the press conference he's very disappointed with him. He doesn't think he's playing hard right now. But I don't think that's true, because even though he was 0 for 5, he had 8 minutes out there. He collected a bunch of stats. He had blocks, he had a steal, he had some assists, and he had some rebounds. So he was doing other things out there, Nick. Just because he went 0 for 5 doesn't mean you yank him and you don't play him for 8 minutes. You only play him for 8 minutes. That's really dumb, because Chris Boucher is a plus defender, and he's very helpful for our rotation. He needs to get 15 to 20 minutes a game, mandatory. And the problem is that Nick went too heavy with his starters too early. And at a certain point in the third quarter, you saw them hit a wall with their endurance, with their conditioning, and they all blew up. All 5 of our starters blew up midway through the third quarter last night. And that's because he left them in too long after halftime. He couldn't play them 6 to 7 minutes after the half. That's a back-to-back, Nick. They played last night. And I saw him do this to this team last year all the time. It pissed me off. During the COVID year, Nick would play the starters too long after halftime, and they'd all get blown up. And you know what happens when they all get blown up like that halfway through the third quarter? They're useless for the rest of the game. They're mostly useless. And the reason why they're useless is they don't have legs anymore. And you can't expect them to do clutch things or play good defense or do the things they're doing when they're exhausted, because you didn't sub them in and out correctly. In the beginning, in the first half of the game, he should have been subbing like right away. 5 minutes of the game, put 2 guys in for 2 starters. Then in another 3 or 4 minutes, 2 different guys come in. And then in another 3-4 minutes, 2 other guys coming in. They could be starters that are coming back in. It's just you've got to make rotations every 4 to 5 minutes at the very most. You can't let these guys ride for 10 minutes. You can't let a team out there ride for 10 minutes, Nick. You can blow them up. And listen, the refs are going to put us in foul trouble. This is going to be something we're going to have to deal with all year. So we need to devise a scheme where we can get around this no matter what. So if Scotty gets 2 fouls early, take him out. And don't worry about leaving him out for a little while. Save him. Save him for later. Don't have him come in and get more tired because he's playing half, because he doesn't want to get more fouls. So he's playing half, but he's not playing all out. That's when you need Birch, Boucher, Banton. You need Justin Champagny. You need all these guys on your bench that you didn't even play last night. Like you said you were going to play your bench last night. Your bench minutes were dismal. And you wonder why you didn't get any bench production, because you didn't even let him play. You didn't let your bench play. We had more bench points than Dallas. Dallas had more rest, and Dallas's starters played more, and they outscored our starters. That's why they won. The game was very even overall. If you go look at the stats, the rebounds, the shooting percentages, the three-pointers, everything was pretty even. The things that messed us up were, all right, first of all, we lost by 8 points, and we missed 7 free throws last night, guys. We went 21 for 21 on the free throw line against Boston on Friday night. And last night we missed 7 free throws out of 19, something like that. That is really bad and unacceptable. Those are free points. And, you make those free throws, we're only down by 1. And then there's all kinds of little things that could have gone different where we could have won the game. So the refs took our big-time guys out of the game by putting fouls on them early. OG had 20 points in the first half and was rolling. That first quarter of the game, we continued our defensive excellence that we had done for 5 quarters before. So we got a streak of 6 quarters of shutdown defense. We shut down Dallas. We've shown that we can shut down each team we faced. We shut down Boston the whole game. We shut down Washington for 1 quarter, and we shut down Dallas for a quarter. But you know what happened in the second quarter last night? Nick put Goran in without taking Fred out. And we went to that 2-guard combo, and the seal on our defense was broken. Dallas figured it out. In the first quarter, we were making him so pissed off. All the Dallas players were getting pissed off and frustrated. Porzingis grabbed OG's face like that. First of all, that's a flagrant foul. And maybe even that's means to get ejected, because that can cause seriously bodily harm to somebody's neck. And that was wrong what Porzingis did. That was a flagrant foul. Like, I'm wearing my Angry Beaver shirt today. This is a playoff shirt they gave out in like the 2016 playoffs. And this is the Angry Beaver. After the first game, I was depressed. After the second game, I was jubilant. After this game, I'm angry. Oh, I'm angry. And I'm angry at the refs, and I'm angry at Nick Nurse right now. Because the refs, first of all, they seen us from the last game against Boston and how we punked them, as their coach says. Yeah, so they're like, no, we're not letting Toronto punk Dallas today, because Dallas has a golden boy for the NBA. He is like a spokesperson. He is a role model. He's somebody they want to look like a golden boy. Well, we were shutting down their golden boy in the first quarter. We were stifling them. They couldn't do nothing. They saw the future. They let us play out. They let us play all out. They know we're going to beat them on scrappiness, energy, and defense and all that kind of stuff. So the refs manipulate the game by putting fouls on key people. You didn't see Luka get no fouls until the second half, and he got 1 offensive foul late in the game. And that was really late in the game. And you know what? They made the foul numbers look better at the end of the game by putting a bunch of fouls on Dallas at late in the game when it didn't matter. They started calling fouls on Dallas in the last 5 minutes of the game just to get the foul count up more even by the end of the game, because the foul count was not even or even close to being even for most of the game. It wasn't until late in the game, when the game was kind of over already and our guys were blown up, that they started calling fouls on Dallas. So it was very manipulated, NBA manipulated. I'm not going to lie. Okay, let's see. Good morning, MK. Glad to have you this morning. We lost this one, but we were a better team. We were the better team. There was manipulation in this game. I'm not going to lie. And Nick Nurse failed as a coach. He didn't do the right thing with his rotation at all. Scotty and OG were in foul trouble halfway through the second. Yes, that was calculated. That was calculated by the NBA. Even OG said it in his after-game press conference that there was some bullshit calls that weren't going both ways, that they were calling it very unfairly towards us, and they were letting Dallas get away with murder. Dwight Powell threw OG on the ground at one point and no call. Gary Trent Jr. got thrown on the ground and there was no call. There was all kinds of this very physical play by Dallas, and there was no call. And that's frustrating to a team. It demoralizes a team like the Raptors. It makes them feel like they don't have a chance when the refs are going to be that biased. And it was bad. It was bad. Oh, yeah. Like, I seriously think Porzingis might have been thrown out of the game for that one little thing that he did to OG. And I don't know if he's getting fined. I don't even know if they gave him a flagrant foul or anything. Like, what did he get for that? That was purely out of anger and frustration. And that kind of stuff on the court is very wrong. Like Porzingis should have had repercussions for grabbing OG's head like that. That was very bad. Okay, let's see. Headbutt. Yeah, the headbutt was more inadvertent. But, Porzingis is this ugly stick man that has big elbows, and he's hitting people and smacking people and stuff like that, and it hurts. Oh, yeah, you get hit by Porzingis stick man. It hurts. Oh, yeah, it does. So he was a goon. Dwight Powell was a goon last night. These guys were knocking us around, and they weren't having to pay for any repercussions. And the NBA was protecting his golden boy. They wanted their golden boy to look good. They got routed in their first game, and they couldn't have a standard golden boy like Dallas's Luka Doncic go down 0-2 because they were going to go down 0-2 last night. At the first quarter showed that they were about to go down 0-2. If they had let us play out, if they'd let us play aggressive defense on them like we normally do, but they didn't. And they're going to try and contain our defense because they know our defense is nasty through the refs calling fouls. All right, so this is what I say Nick Nurse does. So if some of our guys get 2 fouls early, you need to start subbing quick and fast and sub guys in and out. I loved what you said earlier this week, Nick Nurse, when you said, we're not going to let anybody get blown up. We're not going to let anybody get tired. Well, you let everybody get tired last night. You didn't save anybody right. Like, seriously, you have Justin Champagny out there. You see a physical game, you see something like that going on, get him in there. You give him a chance to get in there and put his energy in there and scrap with those Dallas guys. I don't care if he's smaller than them. He will fight with them. And you know what? He can put some fouls on him. Let them have some fouls on him. You really need to stop sticking your guns to Scotty, OG, and Precious so hard. You need to bring Kem in more. You need to bring Boucher in more. You need to bring in the bench guys more because the bench was not utilized last night properly. The bench could have got on our guys more rest so that they weren't so blown up at the end of the game. Because if they're blown up at the end of the game, they're not going to make shots. They're going to blow defensive coverages. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. You need to think about the whole game, Nick, and you need to save your guys. And I don't care if Chris Boucher's 0 for 5 and he looks like hot garbage in your eyes. He was doing a lot of intangibles and other things around out there. Like, I don't understand this, man. You're 12 men deep. When Pascal and Yuta come back, we're 12 men deep. And you need to start using a deep rotation, especially on back-to-back nights. On that second back-to-back, we need that energy constantly coming in and renewing itself. We can't have this that really fucked us up. That was the nail in the coffin in the third quarter. When you left the starters in for 7 minutes in the third quarter and you didn't start subbing them out, you could at least grab 2 of them 3 minutes into the half, the 2 that looked the most blown up, and just get new blood, new energy influxed in there. You're not mixing and matching the bench and the starters right to get the energy nice and even through the whole game. You had them all go out at the beginning. It looked really good. The defense was working on Dallas. We proved it once again that we can shut down another team. And then in the second quarter, you put Goran in. So we had the 2-point guard lineup, not even for that long. You had them in there for maybe under a minute, and it messed up our seal on our defense. It messed up our seal in the second quarter when you did that. And then it just got worse and worse. And we were winning at the end of the first half. And in the third quarter, we weren't down by that much, but the momentum was swinging. The momentum was swinging to Dallas. And you know what? It's almost like the NBA wrote this, like the way they wanted it written. Like there was a memo given to the referees. There was even a memo given to Jack and Matt. Because when I was listening to the way they were calling the game, they were pissing me off. In that second half, they were pissing me off. Jack Armstrong, I understand you like Luka Doncic and you think he's a great player. We all know that. The NBA tells us that all the time too. But you know what? And when I say tooting somebody's horn, I mean the vulgar thing. Jack Armstrong, you were tooting Luka Doncic's horn last night. And you know what? We know he's great. Everybody in the NBA is always telling us that. You know what I'd like to hear you start analyzing the game instead at that point? How about you analyze how the Raptors can try and get back in the game and win it still? Because you were calling the game for Dallas halfway through the third quarter last night. And that's not realistic. It's almost like you realized, or you were just going to say Dallas is going to win because that's the memo you got before the game. That the NBA is like, yeah, Dallas is going to win. So, Jack, why are you calling the game like that? Don't you have in your head that the Raptors could come back and beat Dallas still? No, because at some reason in your head, you had it already all planned out that they were going to lose to Luka and he was going to come back and they could show his spotlight on Luka and how great he is. So, yeah, Jack Armstrong, you get the Tootin' the Horn award for last night. Tootin' Luka Doncic's horn. And I mean what you think I mean. Oh, yeah. Okay. So besides those angry things, angry at Jack Armstrong, angry at Nick Nurse, and angry at the refs, that's the thing. Nick Nurse has to realize he could do this like the Spurs were doing late in Duncan's career. When Duncan was later in his career, Ginobili was later, Tony Parker, when these guys were older and they had a lot of good role players and a deep team, they had like 10 guys that played 20 minutes a game. This is what I want to see from the Raptors. Sure, our better guys get a little bit more when they're not so tired and stuff like that. But after a back-to-back, like against Boston, like this, what we did last night, every single one of your 9 rotational players should have 20 minutes each. They should all have 20 minutes. You're spreading out the consuming of energy, and you're not getting all these guys so tired. Like they were burnt out halfway through the third quarter. They weren't going to be able to close that game out in a way that could be competitive because you burned them out. It's like you snuffed their candles. They were absolutely gassed. They were gassed in the third quarter, and Dallas capitalized. That's when they pounced on us. Okay, MK, I don't know if Nick had many options. Boucher was taking too many bad shots. I'm okay with Boucher being out there even if he's not hitting his shot. Just don't let him shoot, or maybe let him shoot. He does so much for us on defense with spacing and blocks and rebounding and stuff like that. I know he did something that pissed Nick off last night, and that's why he benched him for the rest of the game, because he even had bad words for him in the press conference after the game, and I don't like that. And maybe he's just trying to light a fire under Boucher's ass to come out there with a little bit more oomph, but I don't like that. You still should be playing him and letting him work through it. You shouldn't put him on the bench to punish him because, first of all, he was hurt in preseason. He didn't get a preseason really, Nick, and you need him to be a key player in your rotation. Like, honestly, I think Chris Boucher's a starter on this team, and I don't like the way he treats him. Like, I think that Chris Boucher needs to get more respect from Nick Nurse and that he should be playing him more. Like, 8 minutes isn't enough. It's not enough. That Boucher-Birch combo is the best thing going for us down low. And they started eating us up late in the game down low. There wasn't nothing we could do. And the next thing I want to talk about is Tim Hardaway Jr. Okay, Tim Hardaway Jr. was 7 for 11 for 3 last night. That is simply unacceptable. And I'll tell you what, was Tim Hardaway Jr. not showering for a week or something? I coached this guy 20 years ago when I was coaching men's league basketball, and he would do this on purpose. For a couple of days before each one of our games, he wouldn't shower. He would eat onions and he would eat garlic. He was one of these guys. I don't know if you guys play basketball. Have you ever known a guy who gets stinky on purpose when he comes into a game? Well, I feel like Tim Hardaway must have stunk real high to hell because nobody wanted to be near him last night. Everybody was staying as far away as they could from Tim Hardaway Jr., and he was getting these amazing wide open 3-point shots last night. And that was so messed up. Like, Tim Hardaway killed us. He killed us with those open shots in the second half. 7 for 11. We made Tim Hardaway look like what Jaylen Brown was supposed to look like on Boston the night before. And I don't get that. For some reason, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a Raptor killer in past games. He just kills us in different ways. And I hate that. Like, seriously, was he eating garlic before the game? Did he just smell like a dumpster? Like, what was it that kept everybody so far away from Tim Hardaway Jr. last night? It was like he had like a barrier around him. There was nobody near him for like 10 feet around him for half these shots he was taking last night. And that's just unacceptable. That's very poor defense. And like I said, Nick Nurse needs to rotate more and often. And the regular guys. And I don't like this Banton wait until the second half. If you see a lull coming in the game, put Banton in. He's going to get your energy up as a team. He's going to get the crowd into the game. He's going to do good things for us. So Banton needs to come in earlier. You can't be putting him in the second half. And this spreads the minutes out more. Spreads it out more. You need to put these role players. You can't have these guys that you don't play in the first half, but you play in the second half. We got to spread it all out over the whole game so that these guys aren't blown up in the third quarter. Because Banton could have taken minutes in the first half last night, and it would have helped us. So I don't get it. And even Malachi, I think at this point, I'd rather see Malachi in the game than Goran. And you know why? Because Goran is a dead end for us. He's an absolute dead end. First of all, he's not really a point guard. He's a shooting guard, and he has no chemistry with the other players, passing-wise. Whether it's passing to them or getting passes for them, I have not been impressed with his chemistry whatsoever. And all of his offense is predicated on isolation. And he even got some of his bread and butter plays last night, and he missed 10-foot jumpers. Like, dude, that's your bread and butter. You've been doing it for 15 years. Why are you missing it at this point? I think the dude's on the decline. And honestly, I don't blame Mark Cuban, who's sitting behind the Dallas Mavericks bench. Was like, he's hot garbage, Luka. I'm sorry. We don't want him. Like, that motherfucker doesn't sit on Shark Tank and buy 19 millions of garbage. He's not sitting there. If Goran Dragic came in on Shark Tank and he was standing in front of Mark Cuban on that show and he asked him for 19 million, he'd laugh at him and tell him to get the hell out. Like, there's no way. Dragic is not Dragic's den. There's no Dragic's den. There's no Shark Tank for Dragic because Mark Cuban don't want you, bro. You're hot garbage. And he can't justify trying to match the salaries to get you for Luka because he'd have to give up good players to get a sorry-ass player like you. Because seriously, you're looking old, bro. You're looking like you may have one more year left in this league. And you know what? I want Nick Nurse to put you at the end of the bench. You can be a mentor to Scotty. You can be a pro, and you can be there as a resource. But you're hurting our team, bro. Every time you come into the game, we suck. We suck. We lose defensive power, and you're not adding anything on offense. You're not. You're missing your open shots, and you're not interacting with the other players in a way that I like at all. So Goran Dragic, to me, the less I see of you going forward, the better. If you get your spot and you get your chances again, like you're telling Malachi, oh, just be patient, you'll get your chance. Well, Malachi needs to get a chance before you do again, in my eyes. Because honestly, dude, you're squandering things, bro. Your offense sucks. It's junk. And you're a liability on defense at this point. So why the hell are we playing you? Seriously. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's see. MK. All right. I don't think we were tired. We were out of rhythm. No, we were tired. Like in the halfway through the third quarter, all of them were blown up. They were all blown up. You could tell because they were slow moving. They were all going. And I was like calling for 2 minutes. Nick, make a sub. Nick, make a sub. 5 minutes into the third quarter, I saw them getting tired already. And he has this thing where he likes them to try and figure it out, lets them play and figure it out through it. I hate that. Like, this is where Nick Nurse is starting to look a little bit like Dwayne Casey, where he's stubborn with what he's trying to do. And he needs to be maybe a little more flexible, quicker, because they were blown up. And he needs to be more aware of that. Like, if he watches the game tape today, he needs to really pay attention to, like, well, look, oh, my gosh, look at Scotty. He's holding his knees. But Precious is breathing really hard there. You know, maybe I should have took them out sooner. Because when you blow them up that bad after the half, it's like a stop-go thing. You didn't play during the half. You had your shoot around, and now you're back out there. You go all out, but that's like you used your second win for the whole game. And then you're spent, and you're garbage for the rest of the game. You can tell they're not getting their legs under their feet, their shots, and they're missing coverages in defense. Like, they're missing rotations, and the other team's getting easier shots because we're tired. That's the thing. We need to use our depth. We need to use our energy off the bench. Let some of these hungry guys come in and play some really intense defense and get some of those fouls that our starters were getting. It's not a big deal if Cam Birch gets 3 fouls. It's not a big deal if Chris Boucher fouls out. So why wouldn't you use these guys? Especially Chris Boucher. Like, he's super long. He's somebody that needs to be out there with people like Porzingis and Dwight Powell, these kind of guys. So, it was a combination of things. The rhythm wasn't good too, MK. You're right. And this is another thing. I blame our rhythm problems on people like Goran that are trying to be in the game and do their game and stuff like that, but they don't fit with us. I don't think Goran Dragic fits with this roster. I was really skeptical when I heard he was in the deal, like right from the bat. I was like, well, this guy doesn't fit on our team. I already thought that when we got him. And I was like, well, okay, he's bought in. He wants to come and play and try. Maybe he'll be a surprise. Well, he's not being a surprise. To me, he's being, and these are things that Miami fans have complained about him for years, a ball hog and somebody who just shoots on his own. Like, he doesn't involve the rest of the team. He's not really a point guard. He's a shooting guard that's a point guard's body. And that's a huge liability. You don't want players like that on your team because you need your point guard to facilitate. And I will say on that note, Fred VanVleet was a really good facilitator last night. He didn't have the best shooting game again, but he was really good with his team game overall. But once again, Fred got too tired in this game too. They let Freddie get too tired. And OG was amazing in the first half. But that's what I'm saying. The NBA will mess with the game. The refs put 3 or 4 fouls on OG, and it takes him completely out of the game. And then in the second half, we don't get anything from him except for 1 3. And that's messed up. That is messed up. But really, that's on the down low how the NBA manipulates games. They hang people with fouls. Like, it's as easy as, like, Tim Donaghy said that the refs get a bulletin point before every game. And usually it's stuff like don't call fouls on Jordan, because Jordan is a cash cow and we want him on TV. Well, guess who's on that list last night? Luka. Don't call fouls on Luka. Luka's just as physical and doing stuff out there just as anybody else. But he has 1 offensive foul late in the game, and that's really the only foul he got the whole game. I mean, that's what I'm saying, y'all. These are the things you got to look between the lines and understand how the NBA works. It's not just like, oh, he's a superstar and like that's why he did what he did. He got some help. There's definitely some help there. Let's see. Luka was putting our defense into rotation because we couldn't guard him as hard. Yeah, that's the thing. And Scotty said in his press conference last night, he said that when he got the fouls, he couldn't guard or play defense the way he wanted to, as aggressively. That's the whole way they manipulate this. Like, we play an aggressive defense and they don't call stuff for certain things for a while, but then they start calling them. It's very subjective. The refs can call fouls whenever they want. It's like Nick Nurse said, there were like 14 different little things on each play where they could have possibly called the foul. It's just they pick and choose where they want to call the fouls. And if they strategically do it where they pile on a few early fouls on certain players, they really manipulate the game. And we were saying after the Boston game, we thought the refs were really fair. Well, you know what? Thinking about it, maybe from the Boston perspective of the other fans, they weren't that fair because of all those offensive fouls they were calling on the Celtics on Friday night, because they did that treatment to us last night, what they were doing to the Celtics. But we routed them anyway. We beat them pretty solid either way, even without all that. But this game last night could have easily gone to us. And it was ref manipulation and Nick Nurse not rotating right, not having quick rotations and getting enough guys minutes. You can't get bench production when you don't play your bench, Nick. So you're saying your bench wasn't there. You can't get any production if you don't even put them in the game. So start thinking about how early you put people like Delano Banton in the game and how many minutes they're getting by the end of the game. Because these guys should be getting minutes. Delano has helped us when he's out there. But what has Dragic done? Dragic has not helped us. He's literally Dragic us down. And I love this. Like, Mark Cuban does not want to go to Dragic's den. That's right. He doesn't want that money. He's a smart businessman. We've seen him too much on Shark Tank, and he knows a good deal and a bad deal, and Dragic is a bad deal. So we're stuck. Put that $19 million at the end of the bench and just wait for it to come off the books at the end of the year. That's what I'm saying, because I don't want him hurting us in more than one way. He can hurt us by his salary. That's fine. We can't do anything about that. But by putting him in the game and having these kind of things happen, he like, seriously, whenever he comes in, I think that bad things are going to happen. I don't think that we're going to start doing better. I think we're more likely to start losing the game because he comes in. So, yeah, Dragic deserves being called out if Boucher's being called out. Yeah. I mean, they give him a little more respect because he's a veteran. And I don't know, Nick Nurse has some sort of like weird thing with Dragic where he's like, oh, he's an old European pro. And like, he probably gives him a little bit of favoritism in his own mind for certain things just because of his career and all this kind of stuff. But, I really think that he's being unfair to Chris Boucher. But obviously Chris Boucher did some things that are really important to Nick that he didn't accomplish, or he did that he didn't like. And that's why he benched him for the rest of the game. And I think that's wrong because honestly, we need people like Chris Boucher to be regular rotation guys. Like he needs to get, to me, I think that Chris Boucher should play 20 minutes every game, 20 minutes at least, because he's just that kind of talent and that kind of dynamic player for us. And he was really important to us last year. So I know Chris is going to get the right message on this because this isn't the first time that Nick Nurse has benched Chris like this. So he's going to figure it out. He's going to grind harder behind the scenes, and he'll get back and he'll be right. But seriously, Nick, you screwed this game up, Nick Nurse. You did not sub our guys fast enough, quick enough, and often enough last night. The rotations were way off, and they were bad. They were bad rotations. And you did let the two-point guard lineup get out there and run a couple times, and it didn't look good when that happened. We had no defense when that happened. They ate us up. That's the thing. When our defense is set and seals things like it did in the first quarter last night, and then it's ruined, you see who's on the floor. And it was when Dragic came in and he was playing next to Freddie in the second quarter. That's when our defense went out the window. So, all right, let's see what else. Luka has very lazy defense. There's no way he doesn't foul OG when OG was cooking him. Yes, of course he's flapping him on the down low next to him and doing all kinds of things like that. Scotty late in the game realized that he could destroy Luka on defense. And this is something we may see the next time we play them or as Scotty develops. The more he understands that he could just take dudes like he did. He took Luka and dunked it, like went right around him right down the lane, that late play. That's something he could have been doing the whole game because Luka is not a good defender. Luka is slow in some ways on defense. And you can really capitalize on having the person who he's guarding just take advantage of him. And Scotty could have killed him for a lot more in that game. And this is the thing. He's a rookie. He doesn't really understand all of his powers yet. The more he understands his capabilities and how he can influence the game, take over the game, or win the game, he's going to do that, guys. That's why I think that he is a Kawhi-type player because when he gets in the lane and he misses a shot, he gets his own rebound, and then he's strong enough to push the other guy off of him and make the shot on the second chance. So these kind of things are Kawhi-like things, and it's really going to be his desire to win games, which we know he has. He inherently has that desire to win games. It's going to match up with what he's doing with his talent on the floor. He's going to be nasty, guys. He's going to be a clutch player. He's going to be somebody who's going to impose his will on games. And when his shot gets better and better, and he realizes this more and more, it's just going to get nastier and nastier. But as we said, the NBA refs can give him fouls and get him out of the game. And that quad injury hurt him too. He had to get out of the game for a little bit because of that Brunson hit on the screen. And, these are going to happen. So Nick needs to have these guys ready, the next man up. And right now, I'm not seeing him getting his next man up in here. I think he's too enamored with these core new guys with OG and Fred that he's not getting our bench integrated with the starting lineup properly in the rotations. Like he's doing an all like starter or an all bench kind of unit. Whereas why can't you have two starters out there and three bench guys or vice versa? Three bench guys and two stars, two bench guys and three starters, mix it up, because then the integration and the chemistry is built faster. But right now, I think he's just, he has his favorites and they're great favorites. Scotty, OG, Precious, Fred, of course. But these other guys, I really wish he would do the San Antonio type of giving out minutes, like 20 to 30 minutes for everybody. Nobody really going too high over 30 minutes because then you keep everybody fresh. And if you need to go on certain tools later, like Scotty later in the game or OG, you can really rely on them later and not have them all messed up. Because if you get early foul trouble, you can sit for a while and then come back and get a new run in the second half. I just wish he'd do that better, the rotation. I'm going to be really paying attention to Nick Nurse this year and how he's rotating players. He did a great job on Friday. He didn't do a good job last night, though. Let's see. MK, no, because Boston's best players weren't in foul trouble. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Well, they were kind of, though. I guess it was kind of more on their role players and not Tatum and Brown. But this is like, I guess this is kind of the those guys are golden boys for the NBA too. And they're going to get favoritism and calls just like LeBron or Luka would. So I don't know. I have to go back and look and see how many fouls Tatum had and Brown had on Friday night. But yeah, you might be right. I may be wrong here because they're putting them on our superstars, but meanwhile, nobody else's superstars gets in foul trouble. See that it really is a real subtle way that they manipulate the game, the NBA as a league through the refs. And I really believe that these bulletin points exist, that these players get directives from the league about 3 key things that they have to do during the game that the NBA wants them to do. And it may not be outright help Dallas win, but it may be like call fouls on OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes early. It's that kind of stuff. And they do it. And like I said, it's a subjective thing. They can make it up and stuff like that. Like there's no rhyme or reason to have this stuff. Like, all right, for example, let's look at the 2 challenge plays last night. They were both similar. They were both offensive charge or defensive foul challenge plays. And the Dallas one happened in the first half, and they overturned it and gave it to Dallas. Well, then in the second half, we had our challenge play with Precious. Precious made that move, and Brunson put his shoulder into him. He did a defensive foul on him there. They could have easily given us that, but no, they didn't give us that challenge. So it's that kind of stuff, those subtle little differences in how they treat us compared to they treat other teams. And people think I'm crazy and paranoid for saying this kind of stuff, but this has been true for a long, long time in the NBA, that the Raptors have to beat the refs also. And that's why we can't have close games like this. That's why we have to pour the syrup on the waffles heavy, because the closer the other team is to us at the end of the game, the more the refs will do little manipulative things with their calls to help them win. So this is the thing. Fred's got to tell these guys, these refs are going to do this to us sometimes, and we just need to persevere. It's crazy how Scotty just is unflinching with all this kind of stuff. He's just like, no, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And he really is like an extraordinary rookie, because he doesn't have these kind of rookie nerves, and he has like a serene stillness to him, even in the chaos of it all. Like there was a couple plays last night, and Jack noted this, where the clock was getting really close to being out, and he just took his time and made it like a pro. Like he didn't rush his shot. So I'm really excited about Scotty's development. And this is why I continue to say that the Raptors are a dark horse championship contender, because Scotty's on a fast track. He's a different kind of rookie. He can be like a really big superstar for us in his first year and do all kinds of different things to help us win. And his will for us to win is very strong. We know this. Okay, let's see. Tatum was getting texts. That's always fun. How does the over-the-back rule work? Okay, basically, it's about positioning. When these guys are boxing out on defense, the defender is supposed to be between the offensive player and the basket. What happens is when they go up, the guy behind him is the offensive player usually. It's if he's really close and right on, it's like he's riding him, or like if it feels like he's kind of reaching over his shoulders or over his head, that's over the back, because the players have cylinders, as Coach Allen likes to talk about on his YouTube channel, Coach Allen out of Hamilton. Check him out on YouTube. He does really good like basketball drills and coaching stuff. Is the player has a cylinder as a player, and that's how the refs look at fouls. So if a player is going straight up to get a rebound as a defensive player, and the offensive player is on his back and kind of coming into his cylinder over his head, that's over the back. So he doesn't even have to touch him necessarily. If the arms and the hands look like they're over the guy's head or could hit his arms, then that's over the back. And that's how they call it. But once again, like with all of these different foul calls, they're subjective. And especially this year, like there was a level of physicality that was allowed in the game last night that was shocking to me, because there was a lot of things that they could have called fouls on that they just didn't call them. There's a lot of no calls. And that's another way they manipulate it. They may not call fouls when they should have. There were calls where our guys were getting put on the floor and were obvious fouls, and they swallowed the whistle. They didn't do nothing about it. And then on the other side, they would call touch fouls, or they call something like innocuous off the ball. Like they would call fouls on us on screens like they were on Boston on Friday night. So it's dirty. It's dirty, and I hate it. But this is the thing. We've had to battle this our whole franchise history. This is something that was worse way, way, way back. It's gotten better and better with our respect. But now this year, we've lost a certain level of respect again, and it's all over again. We got to earn it again. And we earn it from like winning and hustling and playing hard. And we're doing that, but we got to get the winning too. When Pascal comes back, things are going to get fun. Yeah, I really believe that. And Pascal definitely could have helped us a lot last night. Like, he's a really good defender to put on Doncic. And I think that his kind of style of offense, where he does a lot of spins and cuts to the basket, he would have carved up Dallas's defense last night. Because there's the thing about Dallas's defense, they're not very good low post defense. They're not a very good set around the basket defense. They really rely on getting shot blocks and just trying to come and make up. But you can physical them. And if you're faster than them, you can get around them and get a quick layup. And that's what I think that Pascal could have done for us last night, is he could have been like a slasher and just carved them up and just gotten through them. Because, Porzingis is really tall and he has his strengths, but he has a lot of weaknesses too as a player. And we didn't capitalize on them well enough. I mean, there were times where we really went at him and kind of made him look bad, but he did kind of hurt us too. And I've never seen Porzingis play that hard. Like, he was motivated last night. Usually he just dogs it. And he was actually trying last night, which is very interesting. I'm a fun guy. Nurse is really worrying me, man. We should be 3-0 if not for Nurse. It's not as cut and dry as that, but, I'm not going to disagree with you, fun guy. I'm disappointed with Nurse too. And that's really what I've been talking about mostly in this stream this morning. He's the number one person I blame for last night. And if you weren't here a little earlier, I've been saying it's been his rotations. His rotations just don't make sense to me. They're not quick enough. They're not fast enough. He's not getting guys out when he sees that they're tired soon enough. And that third quarter was a big, huge problem in the second quarter. And then the fourth is a wash because our guys are already just dead. They're already dead tired. They just played in Boston in a crazy game the night before. And by that point, your starters who played heavy minutes the night before, and they've already played heavy minutes in this game, they're done. They're not going to be able to help you close the gap at the end of the game because they're spent. They have no energy. So, yeah, we're better than this team. Honestly, Dallas isn't that good either. Like, they have shooting problems. Like, they weren't a very good shooting team, and they're not a very good defensive team. It's really weird because, like, the three teams we've seen so far, they're all very flawed and they have different issues. And we have good things that they don't have, like we do, but we have other issues that they don't have. So it's really going to be figuring out like that combination of things that stacks up to the win each night. And there were a couple of things that messed us up. The rotations, the referees being a little biased, and taking key players of ours out of the game for being aggressive because they got early fouls, and then missing 7 free throws and losing a game by 8 points. I never like seeing that, especially when it's somebody like Fred missing free throws. Like, come on, Freddie. You're the leader. You've got to lead by being steady, Freddie. And steady Freddie hits 85% of his free throws. And you missed like 3 free throws last night, dude. Like, what is going on with you? Get in your head right. And, let the game come to you. I saw that more last night. You weren't forcing yourself in the paint as much, and you were letting the flow of the game come to you. There was that corner 3 that you hit early in the game last night, and that was a shot that came to you naturally. That wasn't a shot where you forced your will in the land of giants down near the basket, or you tried to get a 3-point shot or manufacture it. Sometimes Fred just needs to go with the flow of the game and facilitate the other guys more, and he will find his shots as the game goes on. But I feel like his shot selection, he's tried to force things too much in the first couple games. But he was way better with that last night. And OG was the real OG last night, finally. Like, hitting his 3, going to the basket, being aggressive. And he even said in the second half he should have been way more aggressive. But once again, they saddle him with like 3 or 4 fouls, and he's in the back of his head thinking about that. And I don't like that. That's really hard. That's how the refs really affect the game. Let's see. Yeah, not using our depth, and guys were so tired. Exactly, fun guy. You saw it too. And when we were watching it last night, you probably noticed it too, and it was driving you nuts. Like, I was so mad at Nick Nurse last night. I'm like, what are you doing? Why aren't you playing your bench? Why can't you play Justin Champagnie? Justin Champagnie is like another kind of stick of dynamite, like Delano Banton. Both these guys are sticks of dynamite, energy guys that you can get in there and they will mess shit up. Like Justin Champagnie, you get him in the mix, he will be mixing it up with those big Mavericks down low and getting in that rebound battle. And Delano Banton should not be reserved for the second half. Delano Banton should get minutes in the first half also. This kid needs 20 minutes a game, y'all, because we really need to see what he can do. And listen, don't put Dragic in first. Put Banton in. When you feel like you want to put Goran Dragic in off the bench, Nick Nurse, go look at Delano Banton and maybe put him in first, or maybe even Malachi, because I'm sick of Dragic getting in there. Like, listen, if we went over all of his minutes so far as a Raptor, and we looked at the plus minuses on the court and the stats, he has a cumulative minus that's pretty bad overall. You take all the preseason games and the 3 regular season games we played so far, his plus minus cumulative for time on the court is going to be low because we lose when he's out there. We're a loser team when Dragic is out there, especially if he's out there with Fred, because it's just too many mismatches for the other team and they eat us up. They eat us up. Meanwhile, our defense can eat them up. Like they did in the first quarter. We showed our defense in the first quarter. We did it perfect again. We had 6 quarters of great defense, and then we ruined our streak in the second quarter last night, and I hate that. I hate that so much. That's why I'm wearing my Angry Beaver shirt today, guys. Angry Beaver today. We're angry today. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Fun guy. Tomorrow's a real challenge. Hopefully you end the Bulls streak. The Bulls are streaking, huh? Ooh. Oh, I think they won like in the preseason and into the regular season. Well, they're nasty. And this isn't going to be easy. And I want to see what they look like with DeMar and Ball and all these new weapons. Vucevic, more with the training camp and stuff like that. They're a nasty team. They're very scary. But I want to see us do something with them. But, they really, Nick Nurse, you really got to rotate guys better. Like, your rotations did not impress me at all last night. I think this is a huge problem. Fun guy. It wasn't any of our guys' fault. They were tired, bro. Couldn't even shoot free throws. I know. That's a sign of fatigue. Missing free throws, missing wide open shots, not having your legs under you, blowing defensive coverages. Like, Nick, you got to get the leash on these guys. If you see they're blown up, get them out of there. They're proud dudes. They're going to keep playing if you keep letting them ride. But see, this is Nick Nurse's style. Sometimes he's like, I want them to figure it out on their own. I'm going to leave them out there and let them figure it out there. Meanwhile, you lost the game because you're trying to let them figure it out on your own. Get that fresh energy in there. We have a deep team. This has pissed me off 2 years ago. We had a deep team. He could have gone deeper on the team, and he didn't. He would always have this like 9 to 10 guy rotation. Sometimes it was even 8 guy rotation. And I'm just like, dude, use your strengths. You're blowing up Kyle and DeMar by the end of the year. This was Casey back then. You overusing them for the whole year, and by the end of the year, they're useless in the playoffs. So he can't do that over this whole course of the year. He should really think about having a San Antonio Spurs style rotation, like near the end of Duncan's career, where these guys were playing between 20 to 30 minutes, like 10 guys played 20 to 30 minutes a game. And it wasn't like 5 or 6 guys play 35 minutes a game, because that's just that you're burning them out. You're burning them out. All right, let's see. MK, if we don't plan on having him for next year, then we shouldn't play him so much. Exactly. He's not a part of our future. He's obviously not going to get his trade value up if we play him. I don't think he gets his trade value up when we play him because he looks bad. Like, seriously, nobody's going to want him on their team if he can't. So let's not play him. Like, seriously, put him at the end of the bench. Put Malachi in before him. Put Delano in for him. Please, Nick Nurse. If you on the sly are listening to Raptor Freak, like, you put Gary Trent in for Goran Dragic at the last minute in Boston, and it worked. What? Come on the slide. Listen to us, passionate fans. I'm a fun guy and Raptor Freak. We're telling you, man, rotate more and often. And also, please get Goran Dragic out of the rotation. Please, because he's not a part of our future, as MK said, and he's somebody that drags us down. He drags us down. We start losing when he comes in the game. $19 million is way too much for him. They paid him that money from what he was doing 5 years ago, guys. Dragic was like an all-star 5 years ago, and he looked really good. And he's on the tail end of his contract in one of the big money years, and he's not worth the money. He is not worth $19 million, and everybody in the league knows that. So that deal was really for Precious, and Precious is great, and he was worth it in a way to lose Kyle and have Dragic be on our team, weighing us down like this with salary. But that's the thing, that $19 million comes off the books at the end of the year. So seriously, we don't have to play him. There's no reason for us to showcase him because he's not getting any better to show for trade, and he's just taking time away from developing our young guys. Like Delano needs his minutes. Malachi needs his minutes. That's just what I'm saying. So just a review. I blame Nick Nurse first and foremost. I blame the refs second for influencing the game and not letting us play our style, but still letting Dallas play very aggressive and physical and not letting us do the same. And I also somewhat blame, us not guarding Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a huge factor in them being able to win last night. That game was close. If Tim Hardaway didn't shoot that well, 7 of 11 for 3, they would have lost. We could have beaten them. He was the only guy on the other team that was absolutely killing us. And we should have keyed on him way sooner and earlier. Like 7 of 11 for 3 is just disgusting. That's disgusting. And like I said, was this man rolling around in garbage before the game? Did he smell really bad? Is that why everybody had like a 15-foot radius from this man every time he took a 3 and made an open shot? Because it didn't seem like anybody was anywhere near him. And I don't know if he has an invisibility cloak that he just throws on for a couple of seconds, then he reappears somewhere nowhere far away from everybody else or something. But it was looking like that last night because he got way too open looks. Way too open looks. All right, well, Angry Beaver is here today. Hopefully he won't be here on Tuesday morning. I'll do the preview for Chicago tomorrow. And, this is how it is. It's going to be ups and downs. The first game, I was depressed after it. The second game, I was jubilant. In this game, I'm just angry. I'm angry because this is a game we should have won. We're in our home, guys. We were 0-2 in our home court. There's something wrong with that because our home court is usually pretty solid. And I know those fans are coming with some loudness and energy, but what's going on is we're getting beat at some point in the game, and it just sucks the energy out of the building. It sucks the energy out of the players, and the crowd, it gets sucked out of them too. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter what's going on in the game. And that game was close all the way through last night. Just get fucking loud. I don't care if it looks like the tide is turning, if it feels like that uneasy feeling where, this team's just about to go on a run on us. That's how we can be a stable, constant force for this team, by being loud, vocal fans, no matter what's going on in the game. I don't care what the score is. It could be a blowout either way. It could be a 1-point game. It could be whatever it is. We need to be loud the whole entire game. And I know a lot of y'all are doing it right, but we could do better as a crowd because our home court record is a reflection of how we're cheering them also. And, I'm not going to blame the fans for what happened last night, but we can always be an addition to help. You know what I'm saying? Scotty got hurt, but it wasn't a big hurt, but he did have to leave the game for a little bit. And that was during the period where things started to go really bad for us or start to turn. It was in that second quarter. Scotty goes out with a quad injury and we miss him. We miss him out there because he is a really big part of why this defense is working right now. This defense is really awesome. He was hurt. He ran into the screen that Brunson hit him with, and he bruised his thigh. And they took him to the locker room to get treatment at some point in the second quarter, and he wasn't available for like 5 or 10 minutes. 5 minutes. He wasn't in there for a good bit of the second quarter. Jason Kidd says Scotty is a star already. I agree. Yeah, of course he is. They're going to give him kudos one after another as they come through. It'll be DeMar saying this on Tuesday. So, he didn't go out till it was kind of all at the same time. They kind of went with each other, like the fouls and the injury. He was out because of the fouls, but then they took him to the back to get checked out. So yeah, you're right. You're right, MK, in a way. It was really the fouls in a way. Yeah, he was limping. He had a really big bruise. Like, it's just one of these things where you run into a guy and you could tell it hurt. It really hurt. But he could play. He could play. He was fine. And even after the game, he said he's perfectly fine. It's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, even the thing with Svi with the headbutt, that he came back from that, but you could tell that hurt like he had blood coming out of his forehead and stuff like that. And Porzingis is like, he's like a spiky like fence, like his elbows and everything. He's very But anyway, these guys, both of them, they came back and they were okay, Svi and Scotty. But Scotty probably has a huge, big bruise on his leg this morning. Oh, I'm sure he does. But, yeah, this is the kind of thing. We got to take each game one by one, see what Kinderade we get each day. And today was a frustrating one because it was one we could have really done something with. But in some ways, we were being stifled. And then our coach, I don't know what he was doing. He really messed up. I don't know if Birch is looking awful. I don't like saying that because honestly, he's doing a lot with the rebounding and like the position on defense. Defense, he's doing really good. His shot isn't that great right now. Yeah, we can give him that. But he does a lot for us as far as positional defense and also defensive rebounding and offensive rebounding too. Let's see. They played really aggressive and pushed Fred into Scotty. Yeah, they're playing dirty and getting calls. That's the thing. The refs let Dallas play aggressive and physical, and they didn't let us. They didn't let us, and that's the difference. And that was evident there. And everybody said it afterwards. Like Nick was holding his tongue and not saying things. OG straight up said it. Yeah, OG straight up said it. G's saying it right there. Even OG said he did. He came real close to getting fined, but it didn't go both ways. If we've got a center, I'm all about that, but I still think we can do what we can do with what we've got. I don't think he'll get fined. I hope he doesn't. He didn't specifically say that. It's just I don't think he said enough to get fined, but we'll see. We'll see how fascist the NBA is about this, because I think that's fascist when they do stuff like that. They should be able to critique the refs because the refs are human and they do make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with a coach or a player saying that they thought the refs were garbage, because they are garbage half the time. And that's part of the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and the NHL and all these organized sports is fascist when they fine players for criticizing the refs. That's wrong. So what are they so afraid of? Maybe they are. They don't want them to talk about them because they know that they're crooked, that Tim Donaghy is right and all this stuff. That's why they're like, no, you can't talk about it or you get fined. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were bad. I really thought that, like I said, after the Boston game, that the NBA was committed to having a fair game and showing that they are fair again. But no, they showed that they're still going to manipulate the game with calls. You know, if they're going to give calls like that, they need to give them to them too. There should have been Dallas players that were in foul trouble last night also. And there didn't seem to be much of that. No. Let's see. Yeah, Birch is stable. He isn't losing the ball. Thanks, Blackhawk. Welcome, Blackhawk 2K. Welcome. Yeah, like that's the thing. He's on the down low. He does a lot of really good things that just aren't flashy. And like he really is stable. That is a good word for Birch. And like we don't really need to key on him to score for us. He's not going to be one of our best scorers, but we do like it when he puts back the ball off of offensive rebound, or he does hit some good shots. Like if he can hit a three, he can hit those mid-range shots that Serge used to take near the top of the key. Those kind of things that are important for Birch this year. And I think when he's open, he makes those shots pretty good usually. OG was heating up. They don't just make mistakes. They have agendas. That's true. They don't make mistakes. These are agendas. These are hidden agendas on the down low. Like we know Luka Doncic is a golden boy for the NBA. He's somebody that they promote and market heavy. So they want to build his myth. So if we're stifling him and not letting Luka look like Luka in the first quarter, the refs are like, okay, we got to do this to the Raptors. And then that really takes the aggressiveness away. Scotty Barnes can't go all out on Luka like he was in the first quarter and guard him and contain him like he already was, because they want Luka to look good and make these shots and like be a superstar and stuff like that. So that's how we have to beat them too. But we have to be really good. That's the thing. We're not a good team in some ways right now, but we have to be really good. We have to be perfect because we have to beat all of this. And that's how we did it. We won the championship with these kind of conditions. So we can do it. It may not be fair and it may piss people off and stuff like that, but this is just how it is. And we've had to do it this way. And that's why it makes it all the more sweeter. That's why when people discount the Raptors championship, they need to factor in all of that we have overcome. Because we've overcome just like beating Golden State Warriors, beating Milwaukee Bucks. We've overcome a lot more else on the down low, like the hidden NBA agenda for who they want to really win, stuff like that. So let's see. That's the thing. We got to put the game so far out of hand, the refs can't manipulate it at the end. We need a 15 to 20 point lead or a 10-point lead at the very least in the fourth quarter. There's politics involved. There's definitely politics involved and money. There's money involved. That's what it is. They don't like that Boston's 0-2 right now. They wouldn't like it if Dallas would have gone down 0-2. These kind of things. We're kind of like a monkey wrench that gets thrown in the works because Masai's a badass. He builds these teams and he's defiant of the NBA. He's like, we're going to win even if you don't want us to. And they will try and throw like different things to mess us up in different ways. So, and it's frustrating our team by making the game unfair to our players and then also handling them because they get fouls early and they can't be as aggressive. These are really subtle ways. Kenne, we still can't shoot. Seems like Hardaway can shoot blindfolded. Damn. Yeah, we still can't shoot. You're right. Like if Fred, like I said earlier about what Fred needs to do, go with the flow of the game. Let the game come to you. Don't try and force things. OG, sure, be more aggressive. Take your open shots. Go to the basket. You looked fantastic in the first half, 20 points. Scotty, figure out your offense more and be more aggressive yourself. And just like, you can make passes and stuff like that, but you're getting mismatches and you can take advantage of those like you did against Luka with that dunk near the end of the game. And, that kind of stuff. And also it's like, don't complain about not getting bench points, Nick Nurse, and the after game press conference when you're not even playing your bench. Like, seriously, you're not giving them enough minutes, or like, where's Decker? If we need offense, I think Sam Decker is an offensive player from what I've seen and what he did against Washington in the preseason. That guy can get some offense for us very fast. So if we're already down and we're struggling in the fourth quarter and it's kind of a close game, why wouldn't you put Sam Decker in with 5 or 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and see if he can fuck around and get us closer? Because I seriously think that guy is like an automatic kind of guy. Svi is another one. Svi should be having more plays set up for him to hit open threes. And forget about Dragic. Dragic is garbage. He's getting open threes. He's getting open 10-foot shots, that bread and butter that he's been doing his whole career, and he's missing them. So I don't want to see Dragic. I'm sick of him. All right, let's see. Where are we? G. Even the NBA IG account only shows highlights against the Raps. Even the Boston. Yes, this is all very purposeful. This is the way it is. This is why I don't like any of the NBA media that comes out of America. Like they're showing this 75 commercial for the NBA and they're talking about how it is with Canada. But you know what? In the ad for the 75 NBA Canada, they show all the important highlights from Canadian NBA history. And they've got Vince there, sure. They've got a picture of Scotty, I think. I don't know if they have a picture of Scotty, but then they have a picture of like Levine and Aaron Gordon, because in their minds, their dunk contests in Toronto or whatever they did are more special or something like that than maybe putting like something like Kawhi or Damon's. It's just messed up. The way they market it to us, they think that they want to put more importance on their stuff. Well, we want our stuff. And, in that NBA 75 commercial with Michael B. Jordan and the bus, they don't show anything Raptors in that whole fucking thing. And they talk about how international the NBA is in that spot. It's so fucking stupid. You can put at least one little thing for the Raptors in that whole fucking commercial, NBA. You could do that. Maybe show your one international team on there. Okay, let's see. Blackhawk, once again, thank you for coming and interacting this morning. I'm glad OG and Fred had a better game. Nevertheless, Nick Nurse needs to put fresh legs on the court. If Decker is such a great shooter, why didn't Nick Nurse give him some minutes? Yes, just like I was just saying. And OG and Fred are coming around, and like they had a much better game last night. Like obviously OG did. And Fred looked better too in some ways also. I didn't like the missed free throws, like I said, but otherwise, he was being more letting the game come to him than forcing his will. Hardaway was allowed to heat up. Yes. Like I said, I had a player on a team I used to coach 20 years ago. He would purposely not shower for 4 days before a game. He would eat garlic. He'd eat onions. He'd have the worst breath. He'd smell like shit. And that was all on purpose, so guys wouldn't want to guard him. So I think that Tim Hardaway was rolling around in shit before the game last night because nobody wanted to be near him last night. I don't understand how he had such a buffer. There was no reason for him to get that much buffer, especially when he's like hitting that hot. Okay, I can understand in the first couple quarters. Okay, yeah, we need to get to Hardaway. Why isn't Nick Nurse saying key on Tim Hardaway Jr.? Because he went 7 for 11 for 3. He did some Montrezl Harrell in the paint kind of stuff, but behind the three-point arc on us. That's completely unacceptable, especially when we shut down Tatum and Brown the night before, and all of a sudden a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. is killing us. That's just unacceptable. Yeah, I'm done with Dragic too. I'm done with Dragic. Just like I said, Mark Cuban was sitting behind that bench, behind that Dallas bench last night. And if Dragic was a product that put in front of him on Shark Tank, he'd say, no, I'm not investing money in your product, Dragic. Your product sucks. You get out of here. I pass. That's what it would be if Dragic was a product on Shark Tank. He would not get bought or get invested by Mark Cuban. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Okay, Kenny. I was pissed Nick Nurse said that he wasn't playing his bench. Gordon should be on the bench motivating players when they get subbed. Yes. It's like Nick Nurse, dude. Like, seriously, get your head out of your ass. Use your bench. Use your length. Use your rotational players. Use your role players. Figure it out how you can get Boucher in earlier or Banton in earlier and really get them some quality minutes where they're helping us. This is the way the NBA used to be. Like a championship team like the Bulls, they had their 5 starters, but then you'd mix in guys like B.J. Armstrong and Will Perdue and different people off the bench, and you spread out the minutes and time over the game. You didn't just put your starters in, then your bench in, starters in, bench in, because I don't want to see that because they get burned out because you end up playing your starters 35 to 40 minutes anyway, and that's not how many minutes they needed after a back-to-back. So it's just too much, man. Those guys are tired. I think they're trying to graze his value, but it's failing. Like they can play him, but he doesn't look good. It's not making anybody want to trade to get him what we're seeing him do on the court. It's like, honestly, I say cut our losses, stash him away at the end of the bench, let him be a mentor and a leader behind the scenes and talking to the guys. And just show him how to be a pro, but he doesn't need to be getting minutes. Honestly, I don't think he needs minutes. Yeah, Nick Nurse should let Trevor Gleason run the offense. Marlon Toby, good morning. Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're here with us this morning. Yeah, I like that. I think that the Trevor Gleason flex offense is just a little too complicated for what we can handle right now. I think that we really are starting from the bottom level, the base floor of building our offense right now because it's so bad and how we're trying to find our it's a lot of it's keying guys together, getting that synergy. Like I said in the last game, OG, that pass to Chris Boucher when he hit that rhythm 3 against Boston. We need more of that kind of synergy between new players and old players on this team. And we're not getting the basics of an offense, even just a regular kind of offense run. So it's like putting Gleason's complicated flex offense in is just maybe too much and get too confusing. But over the course of the year, we're going to see more of that. And I think you're right, Marlon. The future is with Gleason's offense. And I want to see it. I'm excited. But we just got to get a regular offense or just figure out how to play offense right now. And it's going to be a problem this year. That's why I was like, why can't you play Decker? Decker's an offensive player. Let's play him. Come on. Especially if our defense is wrecked, if it's broken. Like if we're sealing our defense and we're playing good defense the whole game, we're winning that way. I understand that. But if at some point the other team's ahead of us and our defense isn't stopping them at all, why don't go offensive look and try and start scoring on them instead of just it's angry beaver. Okay, let's see. MK. Luka was putting our defense into rotation at the point. Yeah. They let Luka get what he wanted. They let Luka get in a rhythm. They let Luka start wheeling and dealing to other guys. They let Luka start getting open shots and little runners to the basket, teardrops. And we didn't let him do that in the first 12 minutes of the game at all. And we were going to win that game the way we were playing in the first quarter, and it changed. It was manipulated. So the 8 to 9 man rotation is to get them ready for playoffs, I read somewhere. Well, the playoffs are until April. We got lots of time. I think I don't understand that kind of reasoning. That doesn't make any sense because this is a long haul. This is a whole year. You want to save your guys over the long haul for the whole year. You don't want to burn them out. Anyway, I'm not I know you heard that, but yeah, we want to see our bench mob shine. You're exactly right. But that's an asinine thing to think. Like this early, get your playoff rotation right. We don't even know what our playoff rotation will be by then. We may have guys grow and be more important off the bench. Like somebody like Champagne may be an important rotational player by then. So yeah, we want to see a bench mob. G, you're right, exactly. MK, we need to let Delano or Flynn run the backup point. Yes, they're more point guards than Dragic. Dragic is not a point guard. He's a shooting guard that has a point guard's body, and now he's not even shooting well. So, come on. All right, I'm just frustrated and mad. It's an hour and 10 minutes. And I really appreciate everybody joining me this morning. And like, comment, subscribe. I know we're all angry beavers today. This is such a weird Raptor shirt to me because, like, why did they make these shirts? Like, it's like they made all these Canadian shirts that playoff year. They had like a snowflake one, and you guys remember those shirts. But yeah, this is my Angry Beaver shirt. If I'm wearing the Angry Beaver shirt, that means I'm mad, like usually the next day after a game. But anyway, y'all, just win, baby. This is the great thing about the NBA schedule is we go right to the next one. There's no waiting around or nothing. And we can just wipe the slate clean and just keep going. But we don't want to keep losing games like this because this was a close game that we could have won. And it's a home court game. And, Dallas is not – they're going to figure their shit out more and more as the season goes on. They weren't that good last night. But they're going to get better as the season goes on. And we missed a real opportunity to get a win over them because it may be harder. It's going to be harder to beat them in Dallas when we face them again later this season. Oh, well. You know what will make up for this? A surprise Goran Dragic trade. If that happens still in the next 48 hours somehow, some way, then I'll be smiling about all this because I'll know that Mark Cuban was wheeling and dealing yesterday with Masai Ujiri and something happened. But I don't see it. Like, seriously, Dragic is a failed product on Shark Tank. All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the preview. Thanks, everybody, for everything. We got to be proud as Raptors Nation. Just win, baby. We're a great team, and we're going to win a lot of games this year, but some games we're going to lose, and it's growing pains all over again. We got to go through them. Oh, well. It's just how it is.